Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. And today we're getting into some unhinged true Reddit threads, and oh boy, today's Reddit threads are downright horrifying, disturbing, and like the title says, unhinged. So you're gonna want to make sure to stick around, and I appreciate you stopping by. It means the world. And make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. The channel subscriber goal is 1 million subscribers before the end of the year, so please subscribe. And all right, this video will be long enough already, so sit back, relax, grab a drink, and grab a snack. And without further ado, let's get into some unhinged true Reddit threads. Today, I found out my 19 male boyfriend has been cheating on me, 18 female, with his mother for our entire relationship. Oh boy, let's get into it. My boyfriend and I have been together for almost a year now. We met at a mall food court job and immediately hit it off. After a month of knowing each other, he asked me to be his girlfriend. Of course, I said yes. Our relationship has been pretty great up to this point. He takes me on dates, compliments me, and just makes me feel super special. The only weird thing is he would never let me see his mom. His parents are divorced and have been for almost his entire life. The divorce was messy, and his father ended up getting full custody. They had the typical every other weekend and 6 weeks out of the summer setup. I have met his dad and his paternal family, but he would be weird when I brought his mom up. He would tell me things like, "We have a complicated relationship," or "I'll tell you about it later on." After 3 months into the relationship, I began to realize he would never answer his mother's calls or texts around me. He would hastily clear it out or step into another room to talk to her, even if it was just texting. I tried to not let it bother me because I wanted to respect his boundaries. Last week, he spent the night with me for the first time. I woke up around 3 a.m. because of a bad dream and I couldn't go back to sleep. I rolled over to grab my phone in the dark, but accidentally picked his up instead. I looked at the messages from his mother. I opened his phone and began to read through them and noticed they were mostly very intimate. There would be explicit photos exchanged, hardcore intimate texting, and messages for them to meet up for intimacy. I read the conversations in disbelief. I tried to pretend like it wasn't real and I dreamed it. A few days later, I confronted him about it. It didn't take long before he broke down and told me everything. He had been having intimacy with his mother since he was very young. They usually have intimacy once a week, sometimes more. They've been doing this throughout our entire relationship. He never told her that he had a girlfriend because he wanted them to still have their weekly sessions. At this point, I don't know what to do. I love him with all my heart, but I'm so disgusted with him and his mother. I haven't talked to him since he told me everything. After he told me, I ran out and drove to a town 2 hours away. I blocked him on every social media and his phone number. I changed the locks to my house. I have also called the weekend to work so he can't find me. What should I do? Make it work out or break up with him? Update. Thank you everyone for your advice and kind words. I have decided that I'm going to talk to his dad and him both. I'll talk to his father first, then him. That way, his father can help me figure out what course of action we may need to take. I messaged both of them an hour ago. His father agreed to meet this afternoon. I unblocked my boyfriend and I'm still waiting on a reply from him. I will update later after I talk to them both and decide what I should do. And then the OP gives us an update the next day, and it reads as follows. I have no idea where to start with the events that have occurred within the past 11 hours since I last posted. I am still shaken up and this is hard to process. My boyfriend finally messaged me back a few hours after I asked him to meet up with me. He agreed to meet me at his apartment. I made sure that I was going to talk to his dad before him so he could help me find the correct course of action for my boyfriend. Well, I met with the father. We will call him X. I was so scared before talking to X that I was shaking. My voice was unsteady, and I had tears in my eyes when I walked in. I had no idea where to begin. X looked concerned, so he sat us down across from each other. I told X that I believe his son has been SA'd for 6 years now. Of course, X was taken aback. I started to tell him about what my boyfriend told me. That's when X started to be more and more puzzled. He stopped me while telling the story I knew about my boyfriend and his mother. X told me that there's no way this is completely true. When he says this, I start getting confused as well. X tells me that my boyfriend's mother died in a car accident when he was 8. X never remarried or had a girlfriend. At this point, I am dumbfounded and I have no idea what to say. X tells me that he didn't think my boyfriend's mother was SA while she was alive, or why my boyfriend would even tell me this. X also tells me that he has no idea who mom might be on his phone. I take a few minutes to calm down and think before I head over to my boyfriend's apartment. The drive was only 10-ish minutes from X's house to my boyfriend's. I took this time to process what X told me and what I would say to my boyfriend. When I got to the apartment, I promptly went inside. I demanded answers immediately. I asked the truth about his mother, the messages I saw, and if they've really been having intimacy since he was young. Of course, he apologized again and gave me the same story, but it made me angry. This is where I lost my cool. I yelled and told him that X told me that his biological mother had been dead for almost 11 years. I told him I knew there was no way the story he told me was true because his mother passed away when he was 8 years old. My boyfriend became silent and looked down. At this point, I was crying uncontrollably. I felt so bad for what happened and I wanted to get him therapy. I was willing to forgive him for keeping the secret from me. My boyfriend was silent for a few minutes, then finally spoke to me. He told me he had made the whole story up. The contact he had his mom was an ex-girlfriend he regularly hooked up with. She was 20 and a bartender in our city. He put her name as mom so I wouldn't get suspicious that he was talking to another woman so often. He didn't think I would find out, so he fabricated the whole story up. This way, I wouldn't be mad at him. He told me he figured I would feel sorry for him and stay with him. I felt so betrayed when he confessed this. In the past few days, I went from having a healthy relationship to thinking my boyfriend had been SA'd by his own mother, then to find out it was all a lie just because he didn't want me to know he was sleeping with his ex. He then tried to justify this further, telling me it was meaningless and he only loved me. I told my boyfriend that I want nothing to do with him and left. He tried to follow and pled with me, but I ignored him. I drove home, threw out everything he gave me, and blocked him once again. I cannot believe he lied about something so major just to protect himself. I haven't stopped crying since I left his apartment. I'm so hurt and now I don't know what to do. I no longer want him in my life. I'm considering moving towns so he can't find me. He has gone online and used a fake number to try and get a hold of me to apologize. I need to clear my head and try to take everything in. I will turn off my phone and computer for a while so he can't try to contact me again. And then the OP adds an update to the post and says, so my now ex-boyfriend came to my apartment and started banging on the door, begging to be let in so we could talk. At this point, I've turned all the lights off. I am being quiet, so he will hopefully leave. I know he can see my car out front, so it's obvious that I am still here. I want to call the cops, but I am not sure there's much they can do. I'm thinking about going back to live with my parents until this blows over with him. I am also considering talking to his ex that he was hooking up with. I got her full name and where she works. I will keep updates as I learn more about my ex-boyfriend. Update number 2, I'm having a lot of people send me messages, so thank you for the kind words. I can't reply to everyone's messages, so at the bottom of the comments I added some additional commentary on everyone's suspicions. Please read it to answer any questions if you're still unsure. Please note that there are some personal details I left out in order to keep privacy. Example, how his mother died. There's a reason. He didn't talk about it. And now let's get into some of those answers the OP gave to the common questions, and let's get into it. So I've been noticing a lot of similar comments, so many that I can't reply individually to each one of them. I'll just clarify some common questions I keep seeing. This account was made to get this off my chest and be a throwaway, so here this goes. Number 1, the explicit photos. Yes, it seems out there that I couldn't tell, which is why it was difficult, because they were all close-ups of the no-no square. Looking back, if I would have paid more attention, yes, I could have known, but I wasn't thinking about that at the time. I was scared. Number 2, the phone. It was dark and I picked one off the nightstand and opened it. No, he didn't have a passcode. Yes, I did realize it was his, but kept reading. I was just alarmed from the few messages I read on his lock screen, so I decided to keep reading. Number 3, dead mother. I asked about his mother many times, but no one ever gave me a front answer. They were always vague, like they didn't want to talk about her. We had only been dating for a few months, and I don't feel like I should press about something someone doesn't want to discuss. Number 4, the ex. I cannot post much at this point on here because I decided to take legal action. I got into contact with his ex, and I can say this isn't the first time he has done something sociopathic like this. He has made some illegal moves, and her and I decided to take this a step further. Number 5, my job. No, I no longer work at the food court. I have a better paying job at the moment. I do have an apartment that my parents helped pay for, and they gave me a car to drive until I can support myself. My parents are super supportive and caring. They always have been. They're the only reason I am able to have what I have. Edit. I ended up talking to his ex. We had a long conversation and I learned some other information. She told me she had no idea what I was talking about when I said what he told me. She claims she hasn't talked to him in months because of a restraining order she has against him. He harassed her when she broke up with him back in 2017. She also almost had a child with him, but decided to have an operation to get it removed when they broke up. I cannot disclose why they broke it off. I am considering a restraining order as well, since the ex says she's not who he was cheating on me with. I have no idea who it is. I could care less at this point. I can't tell much else since I want legal action. I have told what I can to the best of my ability. And also, for you guys that always call these stories fake, this one was verified by a mod on the subreddit, and the moderator says, suffice to say, I thought the same initially. I thought it was fake initially, but we've got a specific process for this, which I put high faith in, and this post plus OP passed. And so for you guys that call each one of these Reddit threads fake, this was verified. And let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, this is one of the most insane stories I have ever read on this subreddit. Holy shit. I really hope you're able to recover from this. My heart goes out to you. And then someone else says, this is not the conclusion I expected at all after reading the original. What a plot twist. Holy shit. OP, I'm so sorry this happened to you. Your hopefully ex is literal human garbage, and you deserve so much better. I know it's going to be very hard, but you can do this. I promise you there's another man out there who will treat you with all the respect and love you deserve. And this is the last post we have ever received from the OP, and I really do hope that the OP is doing better now, and I really wonder what happened with the legal action the OP and the ex-girlfriend took. I'm very curious how that shook out, but I guess we will never know. But comment down below, what are your guys' thoughts on this? I should have sacrificed myself for her. Originally posted to r/entitled people, and the post reads as follows. So I'm not entirely sure if this qualifies as entitled parent or just someone who's mentally insane, but this just happened a few hours ago. So here it goes. I, 29 male, work for a small hardware store in my city. I'm about 6'2", chubby, but still muscular from all the heavy lifting I do for work. Early this morning, me and, we will call her Nancy, who's 49 female, were at the store before opening to do inventory. It was about an hour before opening, and Nancy went outside to grab something from her car. She came back in a few minutes later, at gunpoint, with someone walking behind her. I've never been involved in any kind of robbery before, aside from minor shoplifting attempts, so I froze in place. The gunman pointed at me, telling me to keep my hands visible and follow them. Nancy was technically the opening manager, and therefore had the keys to the store and vault in the back office. So he held me up while she emptied it. He was gone in about 10 minutes, but it felt like an eternity. Our store doesn't have any kind of silent alarm, so once we were sure he was gone, I went and called 911. After I get off the phone, Nancy comes up to me and asks, word for word, "What the F is wrong with you?" I stare at her, completely caught off guard, and asked her what she was talking about. She proceeds to rant at me until the police arrive. To sum up her rant, she basically said I was a, quote, pathetic excuse of a man, quote, not protecting a single mother when she was in danger. I asked her what she expected me to do in this situation. She expected me to try and get the gun away from him so he couldn't hurt her. It was around that point that the police arrived to take our statements and ensure we are okay. My actual boss is on vacation this week and has given me the next 2 days off, paid. I love this guy. To recover from the shock of the situation and to call him if I need anything. I haven't told him about Nancy's rant yet. I'm still trying to process everything she said to me. Edit, sorry, still new to posting, wasn't sure if this info is relevant or not. Nancy is divorced and her son is a 19-year-old college student who doesn't live with her. During her rant, she kept going on about, quote, who would watch my baby if I died? Stuff like that. I'm hoping it was just adrenaline from the robbery, but if the next time I see her, and she's still acting that way, I'll have to report her. Edit 2, I greatly appreciate the comments people have sent. I didn't think I'd get that many replies. There have been some comments claiming Nancy was in on it. She seemed genuinely terrified, so I doubt she was, but now I can't get that thought out of my head. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, why am I wondering if Nancy was in on it? The timing is suspicious. She goes out to her car to say the coast is clear. The boss is on vacation. What businesses have cash in a safe these days? A small hardware store? How much could that be? She must know when the cash is at a decent amount. And then the OP responded and said, I've never actually been in the room myself, but from my previous job, at least I can tell you that a vault isn't like the small safe you're thinking about. It's an extra locked room where the store keeps the money orders it receives. I wasn't specific about it in my story because I don't want this traced back to me, but the store I work for is still one of the chain hardware stores, just not one of the big name ones like the orange or blue logos. As to whether or not she's in on it, I've seen a few people comment that. She seemed genuinely terrified, so I doubt that she was, but now I can't get that thought out of my head. And someone else says, hopefully Nancy was just freaking out because of the incident. When she has time to process, she'll realize what a ridiculous request that was. If not, she has to quit watching superhero movies. And someone else says, I have had jobs where the robbery response training was, quote, give it to them. Stuff is stuff. No stuff is worth your life. You did exactly right. You did not escalate the situation. You did not startle the robber, which might have made him injure someone in response. You stayed calm. Well done, you. And then the OP gives us an update the next day, and let's get into it. Hey everyone. Not sure if this is how you do an update, but here it goes. I just wanted to start by thanking everyone for the kind words and advice I was given. It was definitely the scariest moment of my life, and I've decided I'm going to look into potential therapy. Before the actual update, I just wanted to explain a few things based on some comments I saw in my original post. Number one, the hardware store I work in is small, just in the physical sense. It's still technically one of the big name hardware stores in the US, just not warehouse sized like the ones with the orange and blue logos. Number two, when I said that Nancy had emptied the vault, I wasn't referring to an actual safe / lockbox. The vault in our store refers to a small, double locked room where they store the money orders the store receives from the big armored trucks. Number three, Nancy actually is the HR manager for our store because the store manager was out of town for the week. She was the acting store manager along with one other person who was off that day. My actual store manager, Nancy, and the third associate are the only ones with keys to the vault. So now for the update. To be honest, I'm not sure if I'm more angry or scared right now, but I got off the phone with my store manager half an hour ago. He was reviewing the security camera footage that was sent to him from his hotel room. I knew the store had cameras. What I didn't know is that we have cameras that face the parking lot. Some of you mentioned it in the comments, so you may not be surprised to hear that Nancy has been arrested for assisting in robbing the store. I can't go into extreme detail, but according to my boss, the gunman was seen exiting Nancy's car when she went outside. They spoke for a bit before walking back up to the store. I don't know much else aside from the guy was her new boyfriend. Wow, what a turn of events, but let's continue. I'm feeling so many different emotions right now. Confusion, anger, fear, etc. She traumatized someone 20 years younger than her for a few $1,000s. I don't know if she was chewing me out about the single mother thing because she'd hoped I would have done something to warrant getting shot over. All I know is that this woman who originally did my hiring interview is mentally insane. As I said, I think I'm going to look into therapy for this. It's just too much for me to process alone. My boss has offered me additional leave of absence if needed as well. So for now, I'm going to take some time off, and if I get any more info I can share, I'll further update you. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, "Thank you for the update, OP. I'm just glad you did not get hurt. What a bitch. She set that up, then had to go at you to probably look innocent. I hope you take the time you need to get over this. Take care and keep updating when you can." And someone replies and says, "Sounds like she was hoping to murder him." And the OP responds and says, "See, that's the thought that I'm terrified of right now. Did she hate me so much for some reason? She wanted me dead?" And someone else replies and says, "Whatever her motives were, they weren't personal. It was all about the money. I have no clue how she thought lashing out at you would help maintain her cover. Maybe her logic was, I've got to make my coworker look like a suspect. I know. I'll emphasize how he did nothing to stop the guy. That'll make him look suspicious instead of me. But she was willing to traumatize you and endanger your life to get her hands on some cash? I'm so sorry. You do not deserve this. It's disgusting. Your life was in danger, and your brain is going to need some time to heal and get out of survival mode. Give it all the time and therapeutic treatment it needs." And then we get an update about 2 weeks later, and let's get into it. "Hey everyone, I didn't think I'd be posting again this soon, but it sounds like things are being handled outside of court, so I should be in the clear. I'm not sure if there's going to be much more of a resolution than this, but if more happens, I'll update you further. Before I begin, I just want to say that I'm doing okay, for the most part. I had my first therapy session 2 days ago, and she seems like a good one, so I'm going to stick with her for now. I told her about my Reddit post, and she thinks that as long as I'm not giving out real names or anything, it could be very therapeutic to discuss what happened to me with others. Now for the update. Nancy's boyfriend is in prison for numerous charges, not contained solely to the robbery. That's the easiest part of this to explain. The rest gets weird. A week ago, I was asked to meet with Nancy and her attorney as she wanted to speak with me. I refused because I'm not at a point where I'm willing to speak with her, let alone look at her. 2 days later, my company rep told me he had an email from Nancy meant for me. He reviewed it and agreed to pass it along to me if I wanted to read it. Against my better judgment, I said yes, and wow, it got crazy. The email was a letter of apology to me. Nancy's boyfriend was an incredibly abusive drug dealer who had her too afraid of him to leave her or call the police. The robbery was his idea, and she was forced to go along with it under threat of being killed. She then apologized for her rant to me, claiming it was because in her mind, she believed I would have stepped in to save her somehow, and when I didn't, she had a bit of a mental breakdown. There was more to the letter, but those are really the main takeaways. I contacted my rep back telling him to reply that I appreciated her apology and am sorry for what she went through, but that I will never forgive her for putting me through that and to never contact me again when all is said and done. The last I heard, she is taking a plea deal. That's really all I have to give you all. I appreciate all of your helpful comments and will continue to answer questions you may have. I'm still in a messed up place mentally, but am getting the help I need. Thank you all again, and be safe out there. And that is the last update we have ever received from the update, but man, that was a lot of twists, and hopefully the OP got the help they needed and got the therapy they needed and are doing better now. I, 29 female, just found out that my fiance, who is 30 male, has been selling my underwear behind my back. We have been engaged for 4 months and dating for 2 years. We decided to move in together about 3 months ago, and everything has been going wonderfully. Throughout the last 3 months, I have noticed my underwear going missing every now and then. I have thought nothing about it because I probably have like 50 pairs, and I usually keep a pair or two in different bags/purses in case of accidents. So sometimes I will be looking for that specific pair of underwear, but can't find it, so I just assume it is in a purse or bag. Or so that was my reasoning. This morning, I was looking for the matching underwear to a bra I was wearing. I looked all over and could not find them. I asked my fiance to check the dryer in case they were in there. He chuckled and said he had sold them. I assumed he was kidding and laughed and asked him to look for me. He then goes, "Babe, I'm serious." I could not believe what I was hearing. I was beyond upset and hurt. I pressed him for details, and he said he has been selling my worn underwear to random people. I packed a bag and went to my sister's house for the night. I feel sick to my stomach about this. We aren't even broke or strapped for cash. His reasoning was that he wanted to make extra money to get me a nice wedding band. I need advice for what I should do. I am at a loss right now. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, "Why did he never think to ask your opinion beforehand?" Oh, that's right, because it's creepy and he knew it would cross a line with you. Don't let him try to justify his actions. Even putting aside the grossness of this, he's still stealing your belongings and stealing them without your permission, let alone those being belongings with your bodily fluid on them. And the OP replies and says, "This is a good point. It is essentially stealing my stuff, never mind the fluids thing. I am honestly considering calling off the wedding. I am just so upset and creeped out." Another person says, "I know that you have a long history with him, but if he's kept something like this a secret, with absolutely no hint of remorse when confronted, and just everything about this says to me that he's a weirdo who doesn't respect boundaries and has no problem keeping awful secrets from you. I don't think I'd ever be able to trust someone who done that. Break up. Break up entirely." And the OP replies and says, "Exactly. I am a firm believer that you have one chance to gain my trust, and if you lose it, it's gone forever. I don't think I can ever accept this and move on with him. I would always be worried and constantly checking and keeping track of my underwear and his activities." And people told the OP to tell friends and family, and the OP responds and says, "I would be embarrassed to tell my family about this. It just sounds so dirty, and I feel like it would badly reflect on me that I chose this man as my fiance. And I have confided in my sister. I am just embarrassed to tell this to my parents. They are very conservative and probably don't even know that underwear selling exists. I am afraid of their reaction." And then the OP posts an update 2 days later, and let's get into it. The post reads as follows. "First and foremost, thanks to everyone's thoughtful advice and feedback. I went back to my place with my sister while he was at work. I packed up the majority of my things and brought them back to my sister's place. Once he got off work, I phoned him. I felt that this was the easiest method of communication, and told him to tell me exactly what he had done. Here are the main key points. He has been selling my used underwear for the last 3 months. In addition to this, he has also posted semi-explicit photos of myself that I had sent him. He had sold the underwear that I had on in the pictures. He said he only posted the pictures to the buyers to prove to them it was really worn by me. He said he told the buyers that I was 100% consenting. He pretended to be me in the emails, and when he met up in person to sell them, he would tell the men that I was too afraid of coming on my own and that I asked him to go deliver them. He has sold about 20 pairs of underwear. I have a lot of underwear, and I frequently purchase new pairs. This is why I didn't really notice such a huge amount going missing, especially since I usually keep a few pairs in gym bags, etc. He admitted to have made around $900 through this. He said he sells them for about $40, give or take. He initially told me he wanted a bit of extra cash in order to customize my wedding band. When I pressed him on it, he admitted he got a bit of a thrill by selling my underwear and knowing other men found me attractive / got aroused by my underwear. He apologized profusely and tried to compare it to selling my used designer shoes or purse. And I completely disagree with this because there is a explicit motivation for these men buying them. I feel exploited and taken advantage of. I have decided to break off the engagement and I'm done with this relationship. This entire incident took me by surprise and I never suspected he would do something like this. I will hopefully break the news to my family this weekend with the support of my sister. He is still trying to convince me to go to couples therapy with him and wants to salvage our relationship, but I honestly am done with him at this point. And now let's get into some of the relevant comments. Someone says, do you think there's any way to make him delete the photos? Can he go to wherever he was selling the underwear through? Craigslist? Not the underwear selling subreddit, I think, because he'd have to have gone through to verify he was a real girl and got him banned. And the OP responds and says, my sister went ahead and reported his email address. She found the ad. I felt too sick to look at it. But she verified that there were a few pictures posted and it was written by me, i.e. him pretending to be me. The ad also suggested intimate things like, quote, I get so aroused when I think of all the guys who will be jerking it into my underwear. Man, that is disgusting. And someone else says, screenshot and or print out these ads in the event you have to take legal action in the future. And the OP replied and said, my sister has already done so. And someone else says, it may sound cold, but are you considering pressing charges? And the OP says, very possibly. And someone replies to that and says, please, please do it. If for no other reason than to just teach him a lesson that this was not okay to anyone. Right now, he's probably thinking some BS like, I can't believe she's overreacting. It's not a big deal. I'm sure someone else wouldn't care. It is a big deal. Make him see that it is a big deal. And the OP responds and says, I got some comments stating I was overreacting and that it would be stupid of me to end a 2.5-year relationship over this. But the whole issue is that he was stealing and exploiting without my consent. I don't get how people think this is okay and I am being overdramatic. And someone else replies to that and says, you are not being overdramatic. You are being rightly outraged at the fact that your ex, you are so awesome for breaking up with him, exploited you non-consensually for profit. He is lower than scum. Scum doesn't deserve the comparison. He is a filthy human being, and I sincerely hope you press charges because that's so incredibly gross. And the OP replied and said, you painted a very accurate picture. This is all starting to really sink in now. Initially, I was so upset because I had envisioned us having kids / spending out life together, and I was heartbroken when I found this out. However, I'm now feeling better that I was able to find out his true identity before we said our vows. I also left my engagement ring back at our place when I got my stuff earlier. And that is the last update we have ever received from the OP. And I really do wonder if the OP ever decided to press charges or just leave him and break contact, or what ended up happening, but we have never received an update. My husband is now a RSO, and I hate that he's tanked my life with his. And for those of you who don't know, RSO stands for Registered S Offender. Basically just a predator. And let's get into the post. My 25 female husband, who is 31 male, and I have been together for 5 years, married for 2, and from the outside, we have the perfect life. We have the house, the yard, good jobs with benefits, 2 lovely pets, and a supportive circle of friends. We share the same hobbies and goals, and I swore this was the man I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. Recently, after disappearing for 2 whole days, shows up and tells me he got arrested for trying to meet up with a minor, but it turned out to be a sting operation, and suddenly everything went wrong. I all but lost my mind worrying for him, and then he destroys my world with this revelation. The trial went on for a whole year and has culminated in that now he has to register for life as a SO. Throughout it all, he has been withholding information from me, and all the information I found out has been through searching his computer and police reports and piecing things together myself. He has been begging for forgiveness nonstop, and his family is also trying to get me to forgive him. My family has been supporting me as best they can from my home country, but they want to pretend that he's not going to have to permanently register with another state if we were to move. Can't be left unattended with a minor, and this shame will hang over our heads forever. I can only be grateful that we live in California, so there wasn't a public notification to our neighbors, but I'm absolutely mortified to go outside anymore. Unfortunately for me, I am an immigrant and therefore a green card holder, and so my ability to stay in the country is tied to him. I love my life here, my job, my friends. I feel as if I've made a real home here. I also resent him for destroying the life we've built as we were discussing children, and now I can't fathom the thought of having children with him. I worked through all my emotions and am ready for a divorce, and I really want to be able to build a life here for myself, but as it stands, it's very unlikely, and so I've been beating myself up that all this work I've put into making this a home for us has been destroyed, and I've basically spent the last few nights mourning. I haven't spoken to any of my friends here, and I honestly don't know what to do. I'm thinking about quitting my job, can't work outside of California, and just packing up as he can no longer sponsor me once my card expires, and I'll be living here illegally. Edit, thank you all for all the kind words and support. I never could have expected such an outpouring of kindness and advice. I've made an appointment with an immigration attorney, and I've made notes of all the important points and questions shared here. I hope to come back with good news. I will keep my hopes tempered, but I'm blown away by all of these comments. Edit 2, I don't know how to feel that I'm now at the top of the hot post, lol. I think this is the first time this week that I'm crying happy tears. I'm flattered and I'm so grateful for all of the well wishes, and I feel so seen and validated, which is something I've struggled with during this process. Again, thank you all for taking the time to read what was a moment of indescribable despair and overwhelming sadness and turning this into a story of hope. Thank you. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, wow, please tell me you're seeking some support, therapy, anything, because it sounds very much like you were also a victim, not just now, having him lie to you about it all, but from the start of your relationship. Do the math. You were 20. That's barely an adult. You are an immigrant. And it all leads me to wonder if that power imbalance, that you needing him for support and a green card, all of it was part of this for him. Combined with the age gap, it just raises the red flags for me that even though you weren't legally a minor, you may have been the closest proxy he could find to satisfy his urges. And then the OP responds and says, "These thoughts have also crossed my mind. And in the earlier stages, I really didn't talk to anyone as I was told I couldn't talk about the case by him as it was ongoing. The pressure did get to me, and I caved to my sister and best friend, and they have been supporting me as best as they can. I've also been seeing a therapist, and she's been helping me process and work through all of it." And then someone else says, "I have a close family member who is a lifetime SO registrant. It is absolutely not worth the trouble. Please don't let anyone guilt trip you into forgiving something like this. I'm really sorry his family are being so insensitive and pushy towards you." And then the OP gives us an update about 3 weeks later. And let's get into it. The OP says, "First of all, I'd like to thank you all for the well wishes and support, but also use this time to clarify and ensure that I have no support for his actions and decisions. There were some comments concerned that I was only thinking about me and not the children, but to accurately and wholly capture all of the thoughts and feelings that were going through my mind would require a book at that point. And this post started as a rant/vent on how unfair a situation that should not have involved me took center stage and I became a casualty. For the record, I think what he did was absolutely monstrous and disgusting. And if there was some way for him to spend his life in jail, I would happily support it. Unfortunately for all of us, he was able to waive jail time. I met with the immigration lawyer for a consultation, and like many of you said, he reiterated that his actions should not affect my ability to apply for my 10-year GC. I have a 2-year. The call was very short, and the lawyer let me know that the hurdle was passed, and if I chose to divorce him or not, I would still be fine. Unfortunately, I can only apply 3 months before this GC expires, which would be at the end of October. He then quoted his fees to me, which, woo, I have some saving to do. I'm still reaching out/searching for cheaper avenues to see if I can be represented, but it seems like this will be a waiting/saving game, which, to be honest, I'm not sure I can do. Obviously, I would love to be able to divorce him immediately, but I'm still trying to set up a consult with a divorce/family lawyer to ensure I know all my rights and avenues. Said partner has also forbade me from notifying my neighbors with children, as he is attempting to file an appeal, and supposedly his info will be taken down off the site if there is an ongoing case. His parents have maintained their stance and have not spoken to me since the deliberation, which was hurtful, but my tears have dried up. Needless to say, I've moved into the guest room and have ensured that all my documents are together and safe. I want to ensure I have my GC before I serve the divorce papers, but I also want to ensure that I have somewhere to go, savings for an apartment. If he chooses to kick me out immediately, his name is on the mortgage, not mine, and he makes 3 times what I do. His dad has made it very clear he 1000% supports his son and said something to the effect of, quote, "Your pain is real, but your options are not. So work it out or go on a plane," which was the most sobering message and honestly a catalyst into wanting out ASAP. I was told that notifying my friends and neighbors was stupid, and I overestimated their need to know/care. To have this life-altering situation boiled down to a binary, definitely showed me that they really never cared about how I felt during this, and is a sure sign that this is normal for them, in a sense. He has been treating me as if I committed this crime, and his poor son was just an innocent bystander, which makes me wonder what has been said. But at this point, I don't care anymore. His son has taken the opposite stance and is so apologetic and regretful, and he has now, quote, realized what he had in this relationship, and if he were to lose me, he wouldn't know what to do, etc., etc. And it's so funny how much someone can change right before your eyes. I love this man with every atom, every fiber of my being, and now I'm disgusted every time he looks so much in my direction. I do not speak to him unless necessary, and it's almost as if we don't even live together. A girl can dream, right? I'm not sure if this qualifies as a true update, but unlike the first post, I still have some hope. I hope I will be able to fully remove myself from the situation and rebuild what has been a beautiful life outside of this. I want to save for the lawyer, an apartment, and also plan to make therapy a regular thing to deal with all of the undue stress / trauma / insomnia this has caused me, and will, unless I'm threatened with legal action, which I don't think they can do, let my friends / neighbors know in secret to allow them to decide for themselves. I am less afraid of losing my friends, as I know I would have liked the knowledge to make the choice if I were in their shoes. Thank you all for reading. I hope to have a happier, more positive update later. And then we don't get an update for a very long time, about 2 whole years. And finally, the OP comes back with an update. And let's get into it. The post reads, "Hello, lovely people. I hope you are well. I didn't realize how much time had passed, but I figured you all were due for an update. I am well, I am safe, I am alive, and for that, I'm grateful." I was going to link the other posts, but I'm not sure how to do that on mobile. I don't remember the exact dates, but I moved out sometime early last year. I just felt sick and was unable to eat, drink, or sleep, so I packed what I could carry and left. I didn't even have a car at the time, so that was pretty hard. But I had enough. I got myself the most affordable apartment I could and focused on building myself back up from the ground. I filed to remove the conditions of my residency, and they sent back my check, but I was still able to make a biometric appointment. They didn't send any explanation, and every time I've tried to call the line, the AI is so frustratingly unhelpful, so I can only hope that everything is being processed as it should. I was also able to purchase a car and hope to pay it off within the next 2 to 3 years. I started a new role, and to avoid my feelings, I threw myself into my work. It doesn't pay much, but it's good work, and I enjoy making a change. I also recently got a promotion, so it was nice to see that my impact was noticed. A new friend I had made recommended getting a cat, so I did. And I never had pets growing up, so it's been a learning curve for us both. She's very sweet and lets me rub her tummy. But gosh, no one told me there would be fur everywhere. Like, everywhere. I also might be allergic, but no matter. Unfortunately, my ex found out where I lived and quite literally showed up on my doorstep in tears, crying and begging, which honestly was a very terrifying thing to happen at midnight. I threatened to call the police, and he took the hint, I hope, and he hasn't shown up since. I don't intend to stay here forever. I just want to build up some semblance of savings, and with all the chaos that has been happening, well, everywhere, I don't want to make an impulsive decision. I have been trying to go to the gym, eat healthily, and am working with a therapist to process all that has happened to me. I've made some new friends, and we celebrated my birthday. It was nice to have people show up for me. I cried. The neighbor that I also told reached out and said she hoped I was well, and her daughter still asked for me. I'd love to meet with them sometime for coffee, but I want to wrap this all up. Earlier this year, I went to the courts to file for divorce and have the papers served. I honestly wasn't sure what the process entailed, and it's been emotionally and mentally a lot. There's really no one I can ask my questions to, and I can't really retain a lawyer at the moment. So I've been reading as much as I can on forums and websites. My family is unable to help me as they have no knowledge or experience, and his family is pretending I'm dead whilst ensuring he has all of the resources he needs because they cannot bear to see their precious son lose an ounce of sleep. They still maintain that he'll be off the list soon as they are reopening the case, and I am needlessly destroying a marriage. But to be quite honest, I don't care. Just leave me alone. Legally, I'm at the stage where we need to exchange financial information, and his response was basically, quote, "Is it necessary? If nothing will be divided?" I don't expect to get anything, and honestly, I won't even contest the house or alimony. I just want to ensure that I don't sign away my rights or end up having to pay him. I know he makes much more than what I do, so a lawyer is no issue. I am tired of this whole ordeal and just want my name and sense of self back. I've been working on the documents to the best of my ability, but I'm hoping to hire a lawyer for an hour or so to review them and at least point out glaring errors. I know this might not be the best update you were hoping for, but I'd like to think I've made some progress at rebuilding my life. I'm also hoping to work up the courage to ask my landlord if I can start a garden because I think it would be quite pretty. Thank you all for your kind messages and words of encouragement. They really helped me through some very dark times. I hope you all have a wonderful day/night. And that is the last update we have ever heard from the OP, and I just really hope that the OP is doing better now. I mean, it's so tragic that they were just thrown into such horrible situation, and none of it's their fault, obviously. Like, they had their lives ruined by someone else's decisions, and it's just a really sad scenario. But I hope that the OP can continue rebuilding and reshaping their lives, and hopefully get divorced from this monster, and that goes smoothly, and she can finally sever him from her life. And yeah, I really hope she's doing better now. OP's house cleaner found a hidden voice recorder. This was found by a cleaner hidden under my dresser in my bedroom. She told me very discreetly about this, which has me concerned. I've tried to Google it to no avail. Please help. Link in comments with all angles. Video and more angles. It has a red light on the side. I have a feeling it's some kind of transmitter, but it might just be the paranoia. And in the video, we can see the OP kind of showing off a thumb stick or thumb drive sort of thing. It's black and has 8 gigabytes on it. So that shows it has storage on it. And allegedly, it's a recorder of some sort. And now let's get into the top comments and what people are thinking. Someone says, voice recorder doesn't transmit using wireless, though, so whoever plays this thing will be back. If this was on your home, chances are there are cameras as well. I would call somebody. If you don't know how to find this kind of stuff, to look thoroughly. Lamps, beds, sofas, walls, pretty much everything. Also, call the cops. And someone replies and says, also, don't talk about it and make the call in public somewhere. You do not want the person to know you know. And someone apparently finds what the voice recorder is, and they comment saying, I believe I have the exact model here. I'm not going to read it all out, but It's basically confirmed it is a micro voice recorder with a voice activated recording, 20 hours battery, easy one button operation, 90 hours capacity. And someone else says, you need to take a really hard look at the people in your life right now. Do you have any suspicions of people that might want to do you wrong? An ex-lover? A creepy neighbor? Someone random you've noticed that gives you the willies? Who have you invited into your home that you do not trust? Also, keep in mind that if this device doesn't have a transmitter, this person has every intention of returning to your home to retrieve it. Protect yourself, OP, and definitely call the police. Does the dude from your r/creepypms post know who you are in real life? Where you live? Could be a likely suspect. Rejection is a potent motivator for insane and dangerous intrusive behavior. And then the OP explains her living situation, although her comment is deleted and I can no longer find it. But basically she says that she's living with her boyfriend. And I think people suspect that the boyfriend is the one that put the voice recorder in the hidden spot. And the OP says, I haven't confronted him yet. I'll wait until tomorrow while he is at work to plug it into the computer to see what it actually is. I've had messages saying it could be a camera and haven't yet found the exact model yet of what it is yet. I don't want to jump to conclusions. And then the OP gives us an update, and let's get into it. You guys are so kind. I'm updating from the bathroom before bed. I'm avoiding confrontation tonight until I can get a clear frame of mind and plan in place. I'm in Florida, but I'm from the UK. I haven't really got anyone out here. One friend who is on a H-2B visa and shares a bedroom with another girl. I basically called in all my favors when I last left borrowing money from friends. The last good thing I can say is that I haven't done anything wrong to cause him to act this way. I've never cheated, but he has. I think it's partially due to his past actions. He feels this way to set a recording device. He used to be a USA Army Ranger. I thought that might be why he has paranoia. Geez, my mind's going nuts, and I can't read all the comments on this toilet. Just going to pretend everything's okay, and I'll update more in the morning. Thank you everyone with the kind words. And then the OP gives us another update the next day, and the OP says, he found it and took it with him to work this morning. I'm shaking. I was going to go to the library and plug it in today. And then update 2, I asked him whilst on his way to work this morning, had he taken anything from my medication bag in my drawer beside my bed? He said no. Asked if he was sure. He replied that he took nothing of mine. Asked what he took. He replied his thumb drive. He was looking for it. I proceeded to act dumb, then said, are you sure it was a thumb drive? I asked him if he was sure that it wasn't a recording device. He admitted he took it, but also said he left it there for the cleaning lady to record her, which honestly seems like BS to me. I told him I'll be coming to his work to retrieve it. It'll most likely be wiped. I asked for a receipt from when he ordered it, and he said he bought it off someone from work who uses it to record meetings, which seems highly unlikely. I'm going to my friend's house with things for a few days. I know this is so unhealthy. I invested 3 years of my life into this relationship, turned down jobs and a master's degree to make it work with him. I don't even care if you see this, Ken. Maybe reading other comments will make you realize how insane and controlling you are. Thank you to everyone who has been so kind to me, and everyone who hates my nails. I don't give a fuck. There's bigger things going on in people's lives than taking an opinion of nail varnish. Update 3, so he is at work. I went there to get the recording device for my own evidence and came back to the house to get more stuff. I go to plug into the device into the computer and find this sitting at the computer desk. Spy camera leaflet. I've searched the room, I can't find it. I don't know where it is. And the OP links a picture and it's titled "You Guys Were Right," and it is a spy camera leaflet. That is terrifying. I mean, it literally says spy camera instruction. I mean, that is just terrifying. Now this confirms that there is cameras somewhere in her house or possibly in her room, or who knows where they are, let alone just the audio recording. This is terrifying, but let's continue. I've sent the mods everything regarding my own background as UK and USA resident, evidence of my phone being taken, and the post regarding parking ticket as people think this is fake. Didn't think it could get worse than the recording device. I'm going to the police to report this and have been made aware that Florida is a two-party consent state when it comes to recording. And I'm staying with my only friend here in Florida until I can get the plan on how I'm gonna get back home, the north of Ireland, part of the UK. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, please put your important documents, especially travel, ID, birth certificate if you have it, social security card, etc., into a bag along with any of your devices which can connect to the internet. Take them and some essential items / toiletries and leave the house now. After you leave, write a message immediately to your family / trusted friends and tell them you are not safe and have to leave. Now is the time to leave. No explanation. Do not answer if your ex-partner calls. He may come home early as soon as he realizes that you found the device. People who go to these lengths to control and conceal are not merciful. Rational people who will suddenly respect your boundaries or not stoop to trying to hurt you / regain control by any means necessary. Get out. And then we don't get an update for about 3 months. But then 3 months later, the OP comes back with an update titled, I am alive and okay. And the post reads as follows. Hi, anyone who is looking for this. I haven't used Reddit in a while due to, well, this post. My life flipped upside down, and unfortunately I had no one to really turn to for help. I stayed with my friend for a few days, but long term that wasn't going to work. I had to come back to him, male 29, in order to have a roof over my head. People tried to donate money to me to get out, but I denied it as I'm really not wanting to give away my identity. I did end up finding a tiny hidden camera and another voice recorder. There is probably more. I know everything I do is watched or recorded. I check their location and they keep moving. My friends who know about all of this have become more distant. They are afraid for themselves being involved. I'm pretty sure there is a tracking device on the car. I just came here to say I appreciate the people who have messaged me. I appreciate the kindness in our Reddit community. If it wasn't for you people, I probably would have committed S-word. Currently, I got a job. It's part-time, $10 an hour, but it's enough for me to discreetly, slowly save enough so if anything escalates, I will have a little bit of money in my pocket to go. And then we don't get an update for a very long time, and people get understandably concerned. But let's get into the update because the OP comes back 19 months later and we finally get an update. It reads as follows. Guys, last year you solved this. It was a hidden voice recorder that my ex-boyfriend planted in the house. Following this, I found hidden cameras. They were disguised as charging blocks and even screws and tracking devices. I just thought I'd post here to let the 20,000 people who upvoted and personally messaged me to let them know I finally, a year later, was able to escape. I got back to Europe with my dog just in time to quarantine and spend Christmas with my family. Without yours, I probably never would have been smart enough to realize and have been stuck in a controlling relationship. I can't thank you all enough. You saved my life. Happy holidays. And then we get an Ask Me Anything from the OP 4 months later titled, Redditors saved my life by identifying a hidden microphone. Ask me anything. I deleted the original post, but searching my username should bring up some evidence. I quickly gathered traction after posting a USB device on r/whatisthisthing, which was later identified as a hidden microphone. This led me to discover hidden cameras, microphones, and a tracking device. I have since escaped the abusive relationship I was in, so ask me anything. And now let's get into the top comments. Someone says, first of all, really glad you found out. My question is, looking back with the benefit of 2020 hindsight, are there things that he did, not related to information he could have gathered from mics, that supported this controlling and abusive mindset? For example, stopping you from visiting friends, demanding that you dress a certain way, etc., aka things you may have just overlooked, but now you've connected the dots clearly show that he was abusive. And the OP responds and says, in hindsight, yes, I had very few friends as I am from the UK and was then living in Florida. The one friend I did have, well, every time I seen her, he would argue with me, just make my life very difficult. He would make me pay his mortgage and left me with no money to live on without asking him for money, which needed an explanation as to what I'm going to spend it on and receipts. If I was home after him, like after 6 p.m., or if I didn't have a dinner ready for him, he would be very verbally abusive. It got to the stage where I just began to blank it out. Then he would punish the dog to hurt me, locking him up in his crate, leaving him outside, screaming at him. That was the only time I really stood up to him and he became physical with me. I would usually dress pretty conservatively, leggings and a t-shirt, so there wasn't too much to control that side. Things just gradually got worse, where he would be angry at me for FaceTiming my friends or family without him present to listen in. I changed my bank account details and he was furious. So I had to give him access again by making my pay go into a joint account. Yeah, so he was just an all-around controlling person, and in hindsight, I guess I didn't seem like a victim of domestic abuse, but not just shows no one knows what's going on behind closed doors. Someone else says, how did you manage to save the money to escape if you had access to your bank account? And the OP responds and says, that's such a great question, especially for anyone in the same situation. So I had to say my parents were struggling to pay their mortgage because my dad lost his job due to COVID. I sent them money on an app called Revolut. My mother actually just saved it for me. She thought I was just trying to save, just not saving to escape. And then someone replies to that and says, how did she get the money back to you to buy the plane ticket? Or were you able to get away with charging it because you bought it at the last minute? And the OP responds and says, she sent it back to me on Revolut. He didn't have access to that account. He could see the money going from my Wells Fargo into Revolut, and I guess he never asked for evidence. She sent it back to me to book the flight, vet appointments for the dog, to pay driver to the airport. Someone else says, looking back on it, did he accidentally slip that he knew things from recording you that he shouldn't have known otherwise? And the OP responds and says, yes, multiple times. More little things that he would overhear from calls to my friends or family, specifically ask about topics. He would gaslight me a lot, making me think I was losing my mind. Say I forget telling him things. And then someone asked about how did the OP find all the devices, and the OP responded and said, there's an app called Fing. It can help you identify devices on your Wi-Fi. That's how I found some of the cameras. Otherwise, the cameras that had a SD card were hidden so well and are so small, one was right in plain sight on the side of the TV. And someone else responds and says, how did he find the other devices? I have the Fing app, but other devices with USB won't be detected. I'm going to an Airbnb soon and am a little paranoid. We found a hidden camera before in one of the places and immediately left. And the OP responded and said, The housekeeper handed me the initial hidden microphone. Then Redditors taught me how to find other cameras by turning lights off, using phone camera to look for a little red light. And one person asks if the OP will take legal action, and the OP responds and says, "No, there's not really much I can do. I just want to forget about that part of my life and move on." And then someone else asks the OP if the Psycho X ever tried to contact her, and the OP responds and says, "Yes, he must have seen a secret camera when he woke up. By that stage, I was already in Orlando airport ready to take off." He first asked the whereabouts of a MacBook, then his multiple cars, then the dog. He then went home and saw I was actually gone. I left behind a lot, especially the designer things, diamond Tiffany earrings, so I think that made him realize I'm seriously leaving and want nothing to do with him. He's actually WhatsApped me once, as it's linked to my old American number, and I forgot to block him there. I blocked him right away. And then the OP expands on the abuse she suffered, saying, "This guy literally threw me downstairs, kicked down doors, threw stuff at me. If he knew I was leaving, I do not doubt for a second that I would be dead. If I wasn't aware of the hidden cameras or microphones, he definitely would have caught me leaving. The night I left, the local police were sitting outside just in case he came back." And this is the last time the OP has ever updated us, and I just really hope that the OP is in a much safer space now and can continue her life without this abuser. I mean, truly, that guy is a monster. I mean, throwing her downstairs, let alone spying on her with hidden cameras. Who knows where all the hidden cameras were? What a controlling freak who deserves to be in jail. But like I said, I really hope the OP is doing better now. I, 24 female, am blind, and my boyfriend's friends talk inappropriately about me and joke about R-wording me. The formatting might be weird because I'm typing the whole text myself and not using any speech-to-text functions. I'll try my best to avoid a wall of text. So, my boyfriend, 31 male, and I, 24 female, have been dating for 3 years now. We live in an apartment together, and we're having the wonderful luck, that's sarcasm by the way, of having my boyfriend's two best friends, 32 male and 35 male, as our neighbors. They live right across from us, which is a huge issue because they come over literally every day, and it almost feels like I'm living in my apartment with 3 guys instead of just 1. Sometimes they come over when my boyfriend isn't even home and start engaging me in the most random and weirdest conversations. And sometimes these conversations are really disgusting. Here is an example. A few days ago, I was at home and my boyfriend was at work. As always, 32 male and 35 male decided to come over without bothering to tell me beforehand that they were coming over. The conversation was really unsettling this time. They started talking about, quote, how easy it could be to R-word me, because according to them, they could just walk in pretending to be my boyfriend and I wouldn't know it was them. This freaked me out a little bit because this is my exact issue. Whenever the door to my apartment opens, I always assume it's my boyfriend, but sometimes it's them instead. However, as soon as they open their stupid mouth, I know for sure that it's them and not my boyfriend. As if this whole quote, I could R-word you and you wouldn't know it was me thing wasn't enough, they said that if I got pregnant by one of them, I wouldn't know because I wouldn't be able to see that my child would look like one of them instead of my boyfriend. I just sat there and thought, what the F goes on in their brains? I'm used to people not knowing how to act in front of me because of my blindness. But my boyfriend's friends' conversations aren't just uncomfortable or awkward, they're terrifying. I don't think they would ever touch me against my will, but conversations like this are incredibly unsettling, and I wish they would stop talking about me like that. I haven't told my boyfriend about this exact situation, but I told him that his friends make me uncomfortable. I'm afraid that my boyfriend won't believe me when I tell him about this conversation because it's just so absurd. I'm almost 100% sure that if I do tell my boyfriend about his friend's behavior towards me, it will result in a 1v2 situation. His friends will most likely deny anything I say, and then it'll be two statements, them against one, me. Just for clarification, my boyfriend knows that his best friends come over even when he's not at home, but he doesn't see it as a problem. What should I do? I'd be thankful for any advice. Edit, there are tons of people ask me how I was able to type this even though I'm blind. I've explained it several times in the comments already, but people keep commenting about it, and I'm getting tired of explaining the same thing over and over again. There is a YouTube video called How I Use Technology as a Blind Person by a woman called Molly Burke. Feel free to watch or listen to this video. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, can you record that shit? Also, how do they go into the apartment? I think you can absolutely tell your boyfriend that you're not okay with them coming in when he's not around. And the OP responds and says, I'll definitely try to record it next time. They have a key for the apartment, and we actually have one for their apartment as well. But it was supposed to be only used in emergency situations. And someone else says, tell your boyfriend about the conversation in detail and tell him that his friends are no longer welcome, especially if he's not around. OP, most women your boyfriend's age have never put up with this sort of behavior in the first place. Just popping in whenever? Simply nope. If your boyfriend doesn't believe you or takes his friend's side, break it up. Get out. They have their own home. Why do they need to come over when it's just you? Why don't you deserve private time? Start locking the door. Take their keys away or replace the lock. And someone else says, please lock your door. If they have a key, insist on having the lock changed and do not give them a copy. Tell your boyfriend that if they come into your place again, you're moving out. This is BS. If your boyfriend supports his friends over you, then you don't want him as your boyfriend. That's not how someone in a committed relationship should act. You should be the most important thing in the world to him. And someone else says, OP, you need to get out of the situation ASAP, with or without your boyfriend. It is insane that these guys joke about this. Believe me, in absolutely no way, shape, or form is this normal at all. This feels like a ticking time bomb, and I'm genuinely concerned for your safety. And someone replies to that and says, I honestly feel sick to my stomach imagining how incredibly unsafe OP must feel. Being blind is already a vulnerable way to walk through the world, especially as a woman. And to have two people who have unrestricted access to your home explicitly say that they could R-word you whenever they wanted to, good Lord, I want to cry for her. And then we get an update about 2.5 weeks later, which reads as follows. This is actually a repost of my update. I posted this only a few days after my original post, but I must have somehow deleted it because it doesn't show up on my profile anymore. I'm very sorry about that. Using technology as a blind person doesn't always go smoothly, but at least I was able to find the saved copy of my update on my laptop. And before anyone asks again, yes, blind people are able to use computers and phones. The amount of people that think I'm lying about being blind because I'm able to use a computer, a phone, and Reddit is sickening. If you are interested to see how blind people use technology, and she links to the same YouTube video I mentioned earlier, but let's get into the update. A lot of people in the comments have pointed out the urgency of the situation and told me to immediately tell my boyfriend about his friend's behavior. My boyfriend came home about 5 hours after I made that post, and I was planning on telling him everything, but he was in an incredibly bad mood and just wanted to go to bed, so I didn't do it. To be honest, at this point, I still didn't fully realize the urgency of the situation, even though so many people pointed it out. The next day, my boyfriend went to work again, and I decided to wait for him at home because I didn't have the possibility to go anywhere else. But I contacted my parents and told them about my situation. That way, at least someone would know about me if something bad happened. This time, when male 32 and male 35 came into my apartment, the door was locked. They have a key. I wasn't just uncomfortable with them being here. I was in fact on the verge of having a panic attack. They must have noticed that because they did some disgusting things to me while behaving as if this whole thing was funny. They did not R-word me, but what they did wasn't okay. I started screaming, which kind of scared off M35 and M32, and luckily an elderly lady from the floor above me heard my screaming. I swear, this lady was my guardian angel. She didn't force me to explain anything and just took me to her apartment. She was comforting me for nearly 2 hours, during which I couldn't stop bawling my eyes out. Perhaps this is life's way of telling me to stop being so naive. My dad always told me, better safe than sorry. From now on, I will definitely follow this advice. I will never wait for things to escalate like this again. When my boyfriend came home, I was finally able to tell him about everything. I've never witnessed him being so angry. He genuinely thought that his friends were helping me out when he was at work, and he apologized for not taking me seriously when I told him that his friends make me uncomfortable. Of course, things couldn't just end here. My boyfriend was so angry that he decided to go over to his friend's apartment. There was lots of yelling, and it resulted in a physical fight. My boyfriend seems to have no injuries though. Shortly after, my boyfriend took some time off of work, packed our bags, and drove us to my parents' house. We are currently trying to find a new apartment, but it'll take some time to find one that is suitable for a blind person. Thank you guys so much for all of the comments on my original post and all of the private messages. I couldn't answer all of them, but please know that I appreciate every single comment and message. And one of the top comments on this post was, please report the friends to the police for threatening to R-word you and for assault. It sounds like something happened, as well as home invasion. The police could easily tack on conspiracy charges since the two of them planned this in advance. Am I overreacting? I feel like a dad at the daycare I work at is hitting on me. 20 female. Hi, I work at a daycare, and I've noticed that one of the children's parents always makes inappropriate comments to me. At first, I thought he was just one of those people who always compliments others, or that he just wanted to have a friendly relationship with his kids' educators. But now I think it's more than that. During my first few weeks there, I was always assigned to his younger daughter's group, the babies, so I would see him often. At first, it was just brief, friendly talk. But it really escalated when I started working with the older kids, 4-year-olds. His other daughter, let's call her Emmy, and I clicked right away when we found out we're birthday twins. She always wants me to play with her and asks for hugs literally every 2 minutes. Whenever her dad comes to pick up his kids, she always makes sure to give me a big hug and tells her dad that we're best friends. Last month, Emmy's dad and I ran into each other at the grocery store and started small talk. We were mostly talking about Emmy, and he just kept saying how much she loves me and that she wants me to come over to their house. I said something like, "Oh, she's so cute. I love spending time with her too," and tried to end the conversation. But he just kept talking. I noticed him looking at my chest a couple of times, which was one of the reasons I wanted to leave. He then offered me a ride, and although I initially declined, he kept pushing it, so I accepted. I didn't let him see my house. I told him to drop me off downtown. Since then, I kept running into him, but to the point where I don't think it's a coincidence. He doesn't live in the same neighborhood as me. I live near downtown. In fact, when he dropped me off the first time, he kept going on and on about how he would never live somewhere as far away as I do. So why do I keep seeing him? In our conversations, he always makes sure to compliment my physical appearance or mention my age and how young and smart I am. It obviously makes me uncomfortable, but for the sake of his daughters, especially Emmy, I don't really say anything. I have tried to set some boundaries, but it's really uncomfortable. I jokingly said once, "Well, if I were your age, I don't think I'd date someone as young as me." And he was like, "Well, good thing I would." And he laughed. I casually mentioned this in a conversation with one of my colleagues, and she said something like, "Oh, he's a flirt. That's what he does." She kept talking about how handsome he is. He is handsome, but also a married dad of 2. I asked if there's anything we, as educators, could do if, hypothetically, a parent is being too flirty/friendly with us. And she basically said no. Anyways, it's gotten hot outside, so I've started wearing sundresses, shorts, and crop tops. And he always compliments my outfits when he sees me and says he likes seeing my belly button piercing out. Ew. Also, Emmy has told me that her dad said I'll be their nanny for the weekends when the daycare is closed. I don't know if he actually said that because she's 4, but I don't want to ask because I don't want to give him ideas if he didn't actually say it. He has tried multiple times to give me his phone number to call him if there's anything, and I always gently reminded him that we can communicate through the daycare app. He always says that he would rather call me directly than through the app. He was always being super pushy, and I felt a little trapped, so I gave him my phone number. He texts me all the time asking what I'm doing, etc. I've FaceTimed his daughters a couple of times, but it just feels wrong. I briefly talked about this to a friend, and she said that she would have told his wife. I don't even think I have the guts to do that. Ever since my friend told me, I started casually bringing up his wife in conversations. He would always change the subject or say she's not there. Anyway, all of this is to ask, what should I do? Am I imagining things? I feel trapped. I can't lose my job. I'm scared that it'll take me forever to find another one. Also, all the kids love me and I love them. I've really gotten attached to them. I love Emmy too, and I mostly feel bad for her. What would you do in this situation? I've asked, and you can't ban a family from attending a daycare, so that option is out of the window. Also, we can't be on our phones 24/7, so it's extremely hard to get evidence. Anything helps. Thank you. I don't know if I'm posting this on the right sub. If not, sorry about that. Edit, I've never seen his wife. He's the one who does everything. Emmy has mentioned her a few times, saying things like, "Mommy got me this shirt," or something. But I don't even know what she looks like. He doesn't talk about her unless I bring her up. Edit 2, about the crop tops, we are allowed to wear them at work with long pants. Same things with shorts. We can wear them with a non-cropped shirt. 90% of his comments about my piercing were outside of work, when I would run into him. Also, I blocked him. I don't know if he noticed, but he's blocked. Edit 3, a lot of people are asking me why/what I'm scared of. I don't have an exact answer. I've had a lot of traumatizing experiences with men, so I don't feel comfortable around any men in general. I don't have any guy friends. It's like I think of all the things that could happen to me if they wanted to do that to me. Then I get scared/uncomfortable. I know I have a fawn trauma response and I'm working on it. I really am. Also, I have work on Friday or Wednesday maybe, and I will talk to my supervisors and update. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, "Stop FaceTiming him. Don't answer texts that aren't about his kids while you're working. There's no reason you have to respond to him at all, honestly. Continue to bring his wife up when you talk to him. If you see him in public, don't be nice to him. I had a student's father that made me uncomfortable. He got my number from a coworker. I was just a bitch to him. I only contacted their mom and about them. I mean, honestly, sometimes you just can't be nice to people without giving them the wrong idea. I'm sorry he's making you uncomfortable. This sucks." And then someone says that wouldn't be appropriate. Seems like a good response to 90% of his requests. I would get used to being comfortable saying that to pushy male customers. And the OP responds and says, "I say that sometimes," and he's like, "Oh well, you're best friends with Emmy, so we're basically family." And I get scared, so I just laugh it off or I try to end the conversation. And then we get another update 3 days later, and let's get into it. "Hello everyone. I want to thank everyone who gave me advice. I tried to read every comment. Before I give you an update, I need to clarify a few things. Number 1, I don't work at a school. It's a private, family-owned, I think, daycare. I have 3 managers, 2 women and 1 man. They became the new owners in January. I primarily interact with one of the female managers. I've tried to discuss the situation with her, but it's never the right time. For example, I'd knock on her office door and say I needed to talk about Emmy's dad. She'd say she's busy and ask me to come back later. When I did, she'd apologize and ask to talk the next day. She also suggested texting, but I didn't feel comfortable telling her everything through text. Number 2, some suggested having another teacher watch my group when he arrives, but that's not possible. In the afternoon after nap time, we take the kids outside until their parents pick them up. All educators need to stay outside to supervise. When parents arrive, I discuss their child's day and hand over their keychain. It's difficult because he always approaches me when I'm distracted, so I can't warn a coworker. Number 3, rides. The first time I saw him outside of work was at the grocery store. He recognized me. We chatted briefly, and he offered me a ride. I declined, but he insisted, saying it was ungentlemanly to let me carry groceries alone. He paid for my groceries and drove me home. Despite my discomfort, I sat in the back seat, but still, I shouldn't have said yes. I was just so weirded out by the entire situation. The second time was at a gas station. After hanging out with a friend in his neighborhood, I stopped there for a drink. He saw me and again offered a ride. He was pushy, so I reluctantly agreed. That was the last time I accepted a ride from him. Number 4, clothing. Most of his comments about my piercing happened outside of work. I don't wear revealing clothes to work. I mostly wear sweats. Occasionally I wear a long sleeve crop top with sweatpants, which my managers don't mind. We're allowed to wear mom shorts, but again, most of the time I wear sweats. Number 5, FaceTime. I FaceTimed his daughters 3 times, and each call lasted less than 5 minutes. I realize now that this was inappropriate, but yes, it happened. Number 6, texting. I don't always respond to his texts. If he texts 10 times, I might reply 3 times. The thing is, he often asks in person why I don't respond, telling me he had something important to say. He'd sometimes say that in front of Emmy. Then Emmy says, "You see that, Emmy? She's not nice to daddy. She doesn't want to talk to me." Number 7, I live in Canada. Some suggested carrying pepper spray for protection, but that's illegal here, so that's not an option. Number 8, I don't know his exact age, but I'd guess late 30s to mid 40s. I've never seen his wife. Some suggested they might be separated. Maybe. Emmy has mentioned her mom before, but she seemed closer to her dad. And number 9, the dating comment. I had zero idea my comment could be seen as flirting. I thought I was indirectly turning him down. When the topic of dating came up, I said I didn't want a relationship. He joked that we'd get along great, and I responded by saying, "Don't you think you're a little too old for me?" And he said jokingly, "Oh man, don't say that. You're very mature." That's when I said that I wouldn't date someone my age if I were his age. And then on to the update. I was only scheduled on Friday this week, but ended up working today too. I texted my manager saying I have something very important to tell her about a parent and that I'm afraid for my safety and it could be compromised. She asked me to come to her office before work to talk about it. I was very scared because reading the comments made me realize that I could lose my job because I gave him my number. But I still told her everything. Looking back, I missed a few things, but I told her the most important things. I told her about how in the beginning, when I was assigned to his 2-year-old daughter's group, he was very friendly and nice to me. But it escalated when I started caring for Emmy. I told her about the grocery incident, the gas station incident, and seeing him near my neighborhood. She kinda defended him by saying that I live near downtown, so it's not a miracle to run into someone there. I then brought up the fact that, yes, I understand that, but he's told me that he enjoys staying in his neighborhood and that I live so far away. And he doesn't understand how I'm able to work at a job so far away. So it was weird to see him so much. I think it made her understand more. I told her about the comments about my appearance. I asked her if it was possible to get assigned to another group, and she said yes. I told her about me giving him my number after feeling pressured, and she said that I shouldn't have done that it's very dangerous to give out personal information like that. She also said that, especially with my job, all communication must be through the app. She said that she was a little more upset at the dad because he's been attending that daycare for almost 4 years, and he knows that parents are not allowed to do that. I then told her about how he makes Emmy play with her friends when it's time to go just to talk to me longer. She said that since I won't be assigned to Emmy's group, I won't even have to talk to him at all. She said that she'll take care of it and let the other girls know to keep an eye on him. I told her about the FaceTimes and how he told Emmy that I was mean for not answering one time and how he made her cry. She only said that was out of line. I asked if it was possible to ban him from attending, and she said maybe. She doesn't have any solid proof. I showed her some text messages, but she said that he was being friendly in the messages and there was nothing intimate. She said that most of this was basically hearsay, and she doesn't have any concrete proof of him being an actual predator. As for Emmy, we played together on the playground as usual. I think the hardest part for me is to slowly distance myself from her. I did, however, encourage her to play with her friends, but she would always come back every 5 minutes to ask to play with me. When her dad arrived, he greeted me and asked me about Emmy's day and her keychain. I said that I did not take care of her today and pointed to the girl that did. I then got up to get Emmy to tell her to leave. He tried to stop me, but I just kept walking. I didn't really give him time to talk to me. When I got Emmy, I gave her a hug, then stayed on the other side of the playground, and they left. I know it's not much, but at least I avoided an interaction with him today. I think that's it. I tried to answer everything. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, if he texts you, tell him that you got a memo from work that says all interaction with parents must go through the app with no exceptions for legal and safety reasons, and that you can't risk your job, then block him. Or just block him. And the OP responds and says, he's already blocked, but I've seen some comments saying I should mute him instead to have proof of what he says. I'm not really sure what to do. And then the OP gives us another update the next day, and let's get into it. Hi, I saw some comments asking for an update, so I wanted to share what happened because I am too ashamed to tell someone in real life. I had work from yesterday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., then straight to the gym to work out with a friend. I got there around 6 p.m. and worked out until around 8:30 p.m. I was walking home. I live about 10 minutes away from my gym when I heard someone behind me. Looking back, I know I shouldn't have walked home, but I didn't think about it in the moment. I had music in my ears, so I didn't know if someone was talking to me or on the phone, so I just kept walking. I felt the person getting closer and immediately thought, oh my God, what if it's him? I started walking a little faster. After about 2 minutes, the person tapped me on the shoulder. When I turned around, it was him. My heart dropped. I immediately froze. I had practiced what to say if I ever got into this situation, but of course, I had to forget everything. He acted like we ran into each other and said, hey, it's nice seeing you. I said, hi, nice seeing you, but I have to go. He complimented my hair. I recently dyed it, and said it looked good on me. I said a quick thank you and tried to leave. He then grabbed my wrist and said, I don't like when you act like that. I just froze up. I couldn't move. He asked why I don't take care of Emmy anymore. He said that she constantly asks about me at home and that I make her cry. I stuttered and said I didn't know, that I'm not the one who decides. I said I have to go now, sorry. He then asked if I blocked him. I said I really can't talk right now. He then blurted out that he saw me working out. He was doing all of this stuff, grabbing my wrist, mind you. I didn't know what to say, so I repeated I had to go. He then started looking me up and down in a disgusting way. He was staring at my chest while smiling. He then started caressing my arms. One arm stopped at my waist, and the other one kept caressing my arm. He would sometimes move it to my chest and touch me there. I don't know why I didn't just punch him in the face. I just could not move. Before you ask, I wasn't wearing anything revealing. I had on a hoodie and sweatpants. I even removed my belly piercing because I don't like this type of attention. I eventually quietly said, "Can you please stop?" He looked at me, smiled, and then left. I've been getting SA'd by men in my life since I was young. I promised myself after getting SA'd at 18 by a friend that I would never let it happen again. Now this, I don't know why this keeps happening. Most of the time, I feel like my body isn't even mine, just for someone else to use whenever they feel like it, no matter if I want it or not. Maybe it was my fault because I shouldn't have walked home knowing I had a stalker. Maybe it's my fault because I didn't tell him to leave me alone earlier. Maybe it's my fault because I'm 20 years old and I can't say no. I know he didn't full on grab my chest and squeeze them, but I felt so violated. I am too ashamed to reveal this to anyone. I told my boss I was sick to avoid going to work for a couple of days. I then went to the police station, but they said there wasn't anything they could do legally because he didn't commit actual crimes and that I didn't really have any proof. I just feel like they didn't take me seriously. They gave me tips to be more careful, like don't walk late at night, change your number, don't have the same routine, etc. But that's it. They won't give me a restraining order. I'll be honest, I didn't understand half of the terminology they were using, but from what I understood, we're both adults, so the texting and FaceTimes aren't incriminating enough. I guess I'll just stay home. I feel so dirty. I thought I had everything under control because I found a way to avoid him at work, but I guess I was wrong. I genuinely thought that I found a way to make everything stop. The worst part is I saw some comments saying that this whole situation could escalate if he finds out that I'm avoiding him, and I didn't believe them. Again, I was wrong. I don't know if I'm looking for advice or sympathy, but I don't have anyone in my life who could help. Maybe some friends, but I'm just too ashamed and embarrassed to say that a man was groping me, and I basically let it happen because I was scared. It's just humiliating. As for my family, knowing my mom, she would most likely shame me and say it's my fault. But yeah, here's the update, I guess. I don't know if I'll update after this, mainly because I don't know what else to do. Edit, copying and pasting this from one of my replies because I can see how it looks. I posted about him 4 days ago, but I started having doubts about him stalking me like a month ago, I think. I talked to my manager Wednesday, and I got assigned to another group. I didn't interact with him Wednesday, and yesterday, he is the one saying that his daughter is crying about not seeing me. I know it's not true. He keeps saying stuff like this, saying things about his daughter to make me feel bad because he knows we're close. When this incident happened, I went straight to the police station near my home to tell them what happened because it's opened day and night. I asked if with what I have, I can have a restraining order, and they said no. I know I'm updating quick, but I genuinely don't have anyone I can talk to about this. Edit 2, okay, I think I'll just quit my job, stay with a friend for now. I'll send an email explaining my situation with my boss and try to find a stay-at-home job. Thank you all. And now let's get into some of the top comments on that post. One user says, R-word alarm. You can get them on Amazon. A big advantage that simplifies your decision making. You were overloaded with options. Do you scream? Tell him to stop? Punch him? The R-word alarm cuts it down to one decision. Trigger the alarm or not. Also, part of indecision is often lack of plan. Planning, in this context, is doing your thinking early so when the time comes, you follow a script. For example, if he's stood square onto you and holding your arm, take a half step closer. He'll like that. He won't like you being in range to knee him in the balls. As he bends over, go for the nose, eyes and ears. Try to rip his ears off. Imagine the above. Run it like a movie. Now add it to the R-word alarm, or you screaming like a banshee. Consider other situations like this. Also, contact the police again. Ring them on the non-emergency number. Cops are horrible at taking reports. The call handlers are normally professional civilians who do this all the time. I used to be one. Even if they won't do anything, ask them for an incident number. That generates a record. Every time he does anything outside work, you ring up and state that it's an ongoing stalking incident and you want to report it and get a new number. When you've got 3, if the police still haven't done anything, find out how to make a complaint. You could find a woman's self-defense class, talk to the instructor, tell them what's happening. They may well be able to give you more specific advice than me. Also, ring your boss ASAP and let her know what happened. This is a serious issue for her too. And then we get an update a few weeks later, and let's get into the OP's new update, which reads as follows. Hello. A few weeks ago, I made a post about a man stalking me at the daycare where I work. I don't know how to link it. If I knew, I would. I told my boss I was sick for 4 days in a row to avoid going back to work. When I tried to call in sick again, she said she would have to fire me if I continued to skip work. I decided to quit because I was too scared to return and even more scared to reveal the real reason for quitting. When this happened, I moved in with my friend. I initially told her I had a fight with my mom and needed a place to stay. Later, I explained the real reason, and she helped me write an email to my boss explaining everything. I filed a police report, but nothing happened. My boss contacted me 2 days later to discuss the situation. We had a Zoom meeting with all 3 of my bosses and we talked about everything. She apologized for not taking me seriously and promised to do better. I asked if the man could be banned, but they said it was harder than I thought and would be hard on the kids. The best they could do was wait until August or September when his oldest daughter would start school. And then they would ask him to enroll his youngest in another daycare. My boss asked if I could eventually return to work, and I agreed on the condition that I wouldn't have to go outside or take care of his daughter. They agreed, and I returned to work the next day. I also found his wife's email address on the daycare app and told her everything. I was scared it could backfire, but I felt like she needed to know. She thanked me, explained that they were separated and in the process of getting a divorce, and said this wasn't the first time he had targeted a caretaker. She said she doesn't speak to him unless she absolutely has to, and the reason he does the pickup/drop-offs is because she lives too far away. She advised me to avoid him and warned that he could be charming and friendly, but was dangerous. She said he had a thing for younger girls and not to fall into his trap like she did. She gave me her number to call if I needed anything. My first few days back at work were fine. I would stay in the kitchen in the mornings to avoid him and would clock out before the parents arrived. However, I ran into him once when he picked up his youngest early. We were both surprised, and he tried to talk to me, but I quickly said hi and left. After that incident, I started receiving no caller ID calls again, which had stopped when I moved in with my friend. I went to the police to document everything and showed them the email from his ex-wife. They advised me to change my number, which I did, but they haven't contacted me since. He found my Instagram and sent me a request. My account is private, so I deleted the request, but he sent another one. My Instagram username is my first and last name, and I have an uncommon last name, so I'm worried about what he could find next. I changed my username, but he already saw it. My email address also is my first and last name. I'm considering quitting again, and I'm wondering if I'm exaggerating because he hasn't done anything yet. However, he knows my job, full name, Instagram, old phone number, and possibly my address and email. Should I tell his wife or meet up with her? I feel that if I tell my boss, they will just tell me to wait until September, and the police aren't doing anything. I partially blame myself for going back to the job where my problem started, but I love it, and it pays well. I think I'm moving to another city, and that would be the best scenario, but I can't afford it right now, hence why I went back to work in the first place. I always carry a R-word alarm on me now, feeling that he could appear anytime, and it's so unfair. Please, I need advice. Thank you. Edit, I'm from Ontario, Canada. And now let's get into some of the top comments. Someone says, don't delete your socials. That's evidence. Just ignore it. So it's there to show the police. Evidence is key to the police being able to do something. Remember that they have to have evidence in order to take action. How did he leave things with his wife? If she asked to be kept up to date, then do so. Otherwise, I just check in with her every few weeks. You're doing well dealing with this. I'm glad you got the alarm. Stay strong and document everything. And the OP replied and said, she told me I could call her anytime and give me info about him whenever. I just don't feel comfortable telling her all of this when she doesn't want anything to do with him, so I feel a little stuck. And thank you so much. Someone else says, this is really scary, OP. This man isn't backing down. He's ramping up his stalking by sending Instagram requests after you blocked him on Instagram already. His wife can't fix this. Tell your boss and please report his repeated efforts to your local police department. This is stalking, and stop saying hi to him at all. No words. You shouldn't have to leave a job to avoid a stalker. And the OP responds and says, my boss said it would be too stressful on the kids for them to change daycares right now and leave all of their friends behind, so for the sake of the kids, we will have to wait until September. And yes, I know, I want to stop saying hi to him, but it's like an automated thing. Like as soon as I see a parent or a kid at work, I automatically say hi. I didn't even register it was him at first. And someone else says, have you specifically told him to stop? At this point, it seems like you have enough support around you to do so, and you're not going to get in trouble since they know what's going on. Can you get your boss to intervene and ask him to stop contacting you? And the OP responded and said, yes, and I've told him I'm not interested. I told my boss, but she says to not respond to him. And then the OP posts a few days later with the update reading, hi everyone, just a quick update. I am alive and well. I don't know why it's not letting me respond to DMs. Maybe it's me, ha ha ha. I barely know how to work the app. I basically live with my friend now. I still go to work, but I'm trying to find a new job. I'm keeping this one until I can find another. The only thing is, I don't know where to apply. I can't live with my friend forever. She's trying to find a roommate for July 1st, and I can't officially move out yet. I feel like if I apply for a job near my house, it would be too easy for him to find me. If I apply far from home, I feel like it would be easier for him to attack me on my way back every day. I've been trying to pick up a habit of recording every time I leave my classroom or go outside to gather evidence. I forget sometimes, but I really try. I stopped going to the gym because he knows where it is. He also found my new number. I have no idea how. He keeps calling me, so I always have my phone on Do Not Disturb now. On June 18th, he called me 19 different times. I don't have concrete proof it's him, but I can feel it. I changed my email address, deactivated my Instagram, and made a new one with about 15 close friends. I showed the phone calls to the police, and they told me to send the evidence to an email address they gave me. However, since the numbers keep changing, it's not considered good evidence. They told me to keep trying to find more evidence. Isn't that their job? And to change my number again. I also emailed his ex-wife, telling her that he found my Instagram and new number. She replied with a lengthy email, basically advising me not to respond to him because he's dangerous. She gave me examples of how he used to treat her and her kids. She said he buys their love with toys and that she caught him one time jerking it to their previous nanny's pictures. She suggested deleting any photos of me on social media because he might be doing the same with me. She's been wanting a divorce for a long time, but he keeps dragging it out. He tells everyone he's happily married and still wears his ring. She's terrified for her kids because he always feeds them lies. I deleted my Facebook too. I showed my boss the calls, but she didn't seem to care and doubted my concerns. She was like, do you really think he's like that? I've known him for years. I promise he's so nice. I'm actually considering suing them because I think she finds me stupid. I had a panic attack yesterday because I can't walk without thinking every man behind me is him. I don't know how to sue someone, let alone a workplace, but I'll do my research. I bought wasp spray, but I don't carry it because knowing myself, I will just freeze up, and what if he ends up using it on me? Ultimately, I think I'm going to move. I'm consider moving to Montreal. I have a friend there and just want to get away from everything. Sorry for posting about the same situation for a month straight, but I don't want to bother my roommate all the time, and I don't want to scare her into making me move out. It's such a weird situation, and it's hard to explain to people. Like, it's not like I'm a celebrity with a crazy stalker fan. But yeah, little update. I guess I'll change my number again. Also, my phone's in French. Haha, don't mind. Judo means Thursday. Vendredi means Friday. And Lundi means Monday. Thank you everyone for the support. I feel less alone. And on the OP's post, she attaches the pictures of the tons of calls she got from this crazy stalker. And yeah, very, very scary. But then we get an update about 2 weeks later, and let's get into it. Hi everyone. Okay, I think this is officially the final update about my stalker situation. On Canada Day, I randomly ran into a girl I went to elementary school with, and we chatted for a while. She told me she had moved to a new place, so I jumped at the chance to ask if she needed a roommate. She said it would be great because she desperately needs someone. I looked up the area and found that I could definitely find a job there. I'll only tell a handful of people where I'm moving, but I am so happy I finally have a place. His ex-wife and I met up at a cafe, and I updated her on everything. I finally told her about how he touched me that one night after the gym because up until that point, I haven't told anyone, not even the police. I also told her that he still wears his ring and says he's married. I shared everything I could, and we comforted each other for a while. She said that one time she went through his work phone and saw videos of their previous nanny, who was very young at the time, changing. Now I'm terrified he may have videos of me because I'm not sure he doesn't know where I live, and I tend to change in front of my window sometimes without realizing it. It also kind of surprised me, but she said not to let him know that he's getting a divorce. She advised me to act like I don't know anything. As for my stalker, I haven't seen him since the incident where we ran into each other near the nursery, but I keep getting calls. People have asked me what he says when I pick up, but he doesn't say anything. He spams me, I answer, then he doesn't say anything, so I hang up. As for my boss, I don't know if there's an HR department where I work. When I got hired, I didn't sign any paperwork. I just gave them my social security number and ID. I sent an email to my boss explaining that I'm quitting because she's enabling S-word harassment. And to summarize, I said that she's failing to protect her staff. I don't want to sue them because I don't want to get into this whole thing. I just want to leave. She apologized and asked to meet up, but I didn't answer because I feel like she will gaslight me. I'm getting my number changed and moving soon. I told his ex-wife she could use everything I told her for her divorce. I told her that she could tell my boss what I told her to, if she wanted. Hopefully, everything is over now, so I can finally shut up about this, LOL. Thank you all. And now let's get into some of the top comments. And someone says, did anyone say how the former nanny got away from him? Did it go on until he fixated on someone else? And the OP responds and says, the wife told the nanny behind her husband's back that they found someone else to babysit and not to come back. And that is the last update we have ever received from the OP. And I just really hope that the OP is safe and doing better now because that guy was a complete psycho. I mean, he tried to corner her on the street. He was obviously following her, and the way he groped her is just horrifying and disgusting. And I hope the OP was able to quit her job without any issues and move to another city and never have to deal with this creep ever again. But yeah, this is the last we've heard from the OP, so I assume everything went smoothly, but I just really hope it did. And yeah, I hope the OP is doing better now. And all right, guys, that wraps up some unhinged true Reddit threads. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really does help so much. And follow me on Instagram and follow the Spotify, where I also post these. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching to the end of the video. Your guys' support is literally insane. You guys are the best. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much for watching. And yeah, once again, thank you guys so much for watching. And this was Snook. and I'll see you next time. Bye.